before we get any further, I wanted to make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, that's perfect.
Unanimous. Okay, agenda is adopted and the motion is passed. So I wanted to report that there have been changes to the committee membership as a result of the recent elections. So we're sad to say goodbye to Abby, Flato Katz and Elizabeth Caputo. They are now the co-chairs of YEL and transportation, respectively. So, but I wanted to, welcome our new members. It's Kay. I don't know if Kay is online. Or,
Not yet.
Yeah, I don't see him.
The Karpen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How cool is
Yeah.
that?
And Alex Bell. So these are
good to
two
be here.
members. They're well known to us, but not as well known possibly to the Parks and Environment Committee. So I wanted to see if you could introduce yourself quickly
Sure.
and just explain why you're interested in the committee and tell us.
Yeah, I'm Alex, been on the community board for a year and a half now, maybe 2 years. Live on 89th Street. I have a daughter, Ada, and a son, Cyrus. I work at Meta as a software engineer. Why parks and environment? I feel like parks, I go to park at least 4 times a week. A big reason why I live on the Upper West Side. So it's very important to me. And then the environment part, I talked a lot to Natasha and Daria about this. I feel like the environment part is a big interest of mine, and I feel like I'm excited to do more in this area. So that's why parks and environment.
Thank you. Welcome to the family.
Thank you.
We have a series of presentations tonight. I wanted to start off initially with Margaret Bracken from the Parks Department. She's here to present on the adult fitness equipment installation in Riverside Park.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
you want to
join
join over
us?
here or?
Is there a presentation? I sent it to you.
Oh.
On the thumb drive as well? Yes. Yes, you did. I did not.
Do you want to do Broadway malls first then, or?
Yeah, can you wait or can we do the Broadway malls?
So we'll have you guys go.
Let
figure out
me go give it to Adler.
Presentation.
Yes, you did. And it's my.
Sorry about this. So we also have with us Ian, who's not a stranger to our committee. He's come here several times and he's presented great updates on what's been going on. Today, he's going to talk about plans for the Greenway project and the 71st Street Sherman Square Mall. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the Great Greenway is the restoration project for the Broadway malls, and we're gonna just talk about a side project we've been working on, planning it for the 71st Street NCAP and beautifying Sherman Square.
Got it. Okay, let's go ahead and start that presentation.
Recording in progress.
That's not good. Nope.
Those two.
Did we get up and dance?
Yeah, that was it.
Wait, you can probably have a instrument. Alex is here, isn't she, to do this? Oh. He's here. Are we okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to share my screen.
Is Alex in the back?
She's right there.
Alex.
You can join, but just make sure your computer is muted, like the laptop.
Oh,
This one?
got you.
Yeah, and then you should be good.
What's
And,
up? No, go on.
and then you can leave yourself muted on this too. 'Cause the Alice-
And then does that have to be unmuted now?
No, that one is gonna.
Because there's a little red mic on top
This
of
one's
it.
on.
Oh, okay.
I think it's
Except
through
the
here.
generated from the laptop
over there, so I think we're okay.
Okay.
So I want to share screen. So I hit share screen and I can't think of it.
Because you have to be made a host.
Ah, okay.
So if somebody here can make him a host, he can share a screen.
I gave
Oh,
permission for people to join, to people that joined to share their screen.
Can you make him a co-host? Can you make him a host?
There.
Okay, he
Oh,
got it.
great,
Nice.
great.
Okay.
I figured it out. That was stressful.
That's what it did.
All this technology. Okay. Great. Yeah, so I just, I'm here with one of our board members, Charles Clark. We want to give an overview of what the BMA has done on the Broadway malls in 2024 with our Great Greenway Restoration Project. This is a photo of laying out all of the plants we use at 83rd Street. They're all native. It was quite a success. Just a little bit of background. Broadway malls are a collection of planted medians that separate north and southbound traffic on Broadway from 60th to 168th Streets. Everybody familiar with what the malls are?
Yeah, I used to be a press.
Okay, great. And so we've been since 1987, doing seasonal plantings, watering, tree maintenance, trash collection, and those sort of services. But now the organization's transforming a little bit with increased revenue and full-time staff. So we're going to be restoring the malls, which they're in desperate need of, in my opinion. This part's similar review of what I've said before. You can just see, the scale of what we're working with. It's quite a bit bigger than the High Line, and the same spatial area as Bryant Park, but it's important. You can see how many neighborhoods and people are affected by this landscape. All the way up to 168th Street. So this is just to go over the kind of success of the work we did this year. This is what it looked like beforehand. So this is all English ivy cover. This is 83rd Street. You have, the end bed looks kind of nice, but it's just kind of a mishmash of vegetation. And a lot of this, which is common on many or all of the malls, is just open ground. And it's very noticeable now with the drought. So what we did to solve that issue is create these really dense sort of native plantings, where in place of that ivy, you have a lot of diversity. Like right here, you have groupings of ferns, sedges, asters, wildflowers. It creates a woodland in the middle of Broadway, many different blooms. It's attractive to wildlife and people. You can see volunteers working along these are blue wood asters. But I think it looks quite a bit better than it did. So there's an improvement there. So in this coming spring, we just received some funding, so we'll be doing the mall from 73rd to 74th Street. It's the next restoration. I do think it's probably out of the entire stretch, the most noticeable mall, the most foot traffic, just the densest pedestrian population. And there's steel pergolas there that have been there since 2002, I believe, that will repair and secure. They're a little wobbly. We're gonna be doing a little bit of change in the landscape design to make it a little more formal, more attractive to people who might not know about the native plant trend. So it really looks, like an impressive park landscape that's going to improve the whole neighborhood. We're hope to involve more volunteer engagement in restoration and maintenance, and just get it looking nicer overall by restoring the benches, getting trash cans there, and really any other improvements that are desired on seating areas in the mall. And these are the current conditions, so it kind of looks like the Sonoran Desert a little bit. Having lived in Nevada, it really does, it's all just open dirt. The crooked sign, there's like police barricades, and this is 73rd Street on the Upper West Side. Right here, somebody feeds pigeons every day. So it's empty, and very acidic, nothing can live there. But, oh, I wanted to go back, hold on.
Just like this.
Yeah.
Okay, great, yeah. So, I mean, the idea is to do a similar thing where we have just a really dense planting of native plants. So you can imagine like that blue aster in the middle, kind of spreading out, and multiple species like that with a nice walking path in the middle, and just formalized shrubs. It's, you know, I think it's a simple concept, but it's hard to pull off, but we're gonna make it look really good, and also repair the post and chain fence that's on the outside of the malls. That's been just rusting away and neglected for decades now.
Excuse me, what you're planting, it would look like what we just saw to the south when you just showed us everything that has been planted. Are you using?
It'll look similar to this. We're gonna make it like a little, not like the Park Avenue malls, but a little bit more geometrical. You
Yes,
know,
but-
we're gonna take that and combine it with like an English garden type of aesthetic and try that out.
Is this a model? Is this unique, what we're seeing, and you're going to do a different kind of planting on the one that you showed us?
It's interesting, we're gonna use almost the same palette of plants, just laid out in a different way. But not shockingly different, so it will look similar, yeah.
So
It'll
maybe a
look
little
consistent with
uniformity,
it.
but it'll be a little.
Exactly, so this is what's, this
Okay.
design is called like planting in drifts, which are just creating informal groupings of plants that have no defined shape, right? We wanna put a little more geometry in there.
How
that's really
you're starting the plantings now, what used to be called winter, and how's the drought affecting this?
We're running a watering truck, past where we should be. Usually we would have stopped at like mid-October because there was 0.01 inches of rain in October. We
Yeah.
had to run our watering truck continuously. And it's, you know, it's a shame. It's, don't want to, especially with the increasing severity of it. It's just,
I'll take a shorter shower if you can keep them all.
yeah, that's the thing is, we're probably gonna water 2 more times to ensure the plants live. But yeah, I do not want to continue to water with any frequency, for sure.
And, excuse me, looking at it, this is 83rd Street, the other one was 70.
Third.
33rd also, but the plan to get the 83rd. Okay, so do the roadways going up, you know, this particular roadway, is it the conventional one of 3 lanes in each direction catering to the cars and the buses, that it's uniform? I just want to look at the whole setting,
Yeah,
if I may, because of course you're doing something beautiful here. But, you know, I'm just looking at how the concept is in general, as your extraordinarily good work will continue and along a particular, like 10 blocks stretch. I'm thinking of the way the roadway is, the way people go, and should there be all the gorgeous flowers, or should there be only greenery, just to connect up with the way the roadway is, or are there plans, I'm just asking, well, I'll finish my one sentence.
Okay, good.
Are there any plans for any seating in the roadway that we're beginning to see that I've just read in so many places to our knowledge?
You can go ahead and answer the question, but then let's have him finish
Oh,
the
yeah.
entire presentation,
Time.
because maybe there's,
Sorry.
maybe your
So that's-
questions will be answered.
That's beyond our,
Okay, thank you. I'm
abilities,
just
yeah.
raising that. Thank you.
I would love a bike lane and seating and planters on
Yeah,
both
okay,
sides of the
okay.
mall, but that's far beyond
Okay.
BMA's ability. Yeah, let me just move on. Looking at that again. I want to talk a little bit about this little parklet that is actually adjacent to the 70th Street Mall, that caught my eye, and one of our board members. Well, yes, can speak to, has been more aware of the longest.
Right. Right, I mean, just full disclosure, I live at 70th and West End, so I see this every day, and it's kind of I've always felt it's a little bit of an orphan, because the Lincoln Square bid ends at the south side of 70th Street, and Broadway Mall Association picks up at the north side of 70th Street, but Little Sherman Square, which is our smallest park, I believe, is you can see it's very neglected, and it's historic. It's got a plaque there that's from the Grand Old Boys, or something, I forget the name of it, that's dedicated to fallen soldiers. Grand Street Boys, thank you. And we just want to take that little area there and do what we do on the malls, which is where we start at 70th Street, and do some nice planting. Ian can talk more about what he envisions, because he's the horticulture guy, but we just really would like to see. Right now, you can see it's just used for, there's barrier, I don't know if they're police barriers or what, they're always stored there. The tree pits are a mess. The fence needs, it's a good condition, but it needs a good paint job. And the Parks Department has been very cooperative with us when we talk to them about it. But there's, they have their limitations, obviously. So we would just like to take that. And Ian can talk a little bit more about across the street at the north end of the 71st Street Mall, the end cap there is like a little park. It's got a series of benches, and a lot of people use it to eat their lunch or whatever, just hang out there. And we want to improve that, and we think this is all of a piece.
Yeah, we want to make nice public spaces. I mean, the pictures explain themselves, and that was great, but I just, mentioned that the trees there are American elms, which are somehow still alive after Dutch elm disease wiped most of them out, and they're not doing great, so we want to fix those tree beds.
Look at the tree beds, so you can see why.
It's a conservation issue as well as a urban beautification issue. And this is like this little parklet right across the street from Sherman Square. It's just not great, so with proper approvals and everything, we'd like to add big belly trash cans, a few planters, and restore those benches with power washing and finishing, which is, you can make them look new again if you use the right materials to make that, a destination instead of a place that's just neglected. Like this, it'll be covered in trash in the morning, and our friends at Riverside Greenkeepers do a great job trying to keep it clean, but we can help with better infrastructure. Just sort of summarizing those points. That's it. This is just a CAD drawing of the 73rd Street Mall, and you can see, so the red actually represents the areas where there's plants. And this was done in 2019, so you can see it's just not good. A lot of potential to make it look great, and it's right adjacent to Verde Square, so it'll create sort of a green continuity with that.
Good question. Thank you for sharing. This is really exciting. You also mentioned pigeon feeding birds and
Yeah,
all of that. Is there anything that's gonna happen to prevent that or anything along those?
So all I
lines?
have is that the one woman I've seen doing it, who's a lot of seed, is to kindly ask her to stop.
Okay.
We do put up a 3-foot range fence around the walls when we do the restoration. Hopefully that works. And then maybe a big sign that says, please do not feed
Yeah.
the animals, you know.
There's a whole coterie of folks who did nothing else with it.
Do you happen to have a picture of the steel pergola at the end of this mall?
Yeah, I didn't include it. I got a bunch.
Because I wanted to, I don't know if you know the derivation of it, do you? Because it's really a great story. I mean, I think it is.
The landscape architect won the competition.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yes,
Bob
he was a
Herman.
student, so I
Yeah.
think at University of Texas or
Yeah.
someplace like that. And I'd been on that board for a number of years, and I was on the little committee that chose the right artist, you know, for
Okay, yeah.
when we had this contest, and I live on 74th Street, so I go by there every day.
Right.
And in the summertime, this pergola, this guy designed this steel pergola, and I think it's trumpet vine that
It
it's
is,
covered with.
yeah.
And it is brilliant orange and yellow, and it is so beautiful in the spring and the summer. And every year I send Bob Herman a picture of to show him how great this thing is doing.
Yeah, it's an awesome plant. We're gonna actually, you can kind of see it in the middle photo in the back. The bottom, like 3/4 of it are dead. So what we're gonna do is like take away a lot of that dead weight, reinforce the pergola, and hopefully we get 20 more years of life out of it.
Great. Great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the mall's special. It's a great design. It's just.
Before BMA, everything looked like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've seen some pictures of.
I remember when that pergola went up and I thought, what the heck? I worked in the Parks Department. I said, what the heck are they doing? And then I found out, and then it took time for the plant material to.
It did,
to
it did.
grow in,
It
but
takes like 4 years or at least for it really to start to flower and.
Yeah.
Go out.
I wanted to talk about Sherman Square. Have you gotten in touch with the Friends of Verdi Square? Like, is there any interest from them for like taking it over?
No, they got their work cut out, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great. Friends with Kathleen and Quentin, but I do think that they, they might share with volunteers.
Yeah.
with us.
The Lincoln Square bid goes up to 70th Street, so you may want to make sure you don't step on it.
It's right over, my, buddy there's border.
Yes.
So what we want to do is, make it like, this is where the BMA takes over. And it's also like almost a gateway there.
Yeah.
Lincoln Square, you can consider it a different neighborhood, right? 70th Street becomes the residential Upper West Side. So I think improving that space and making that noticeable. Good.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you doing about the tree pits and the desolation at 73rd? Fixing up the soil?
In the tree pits,
Yeah,
we
because parks was in clay. It's very hard.
we just don't have the resources to.
So what are you going to do?
About the tree pits?
Yes, and also the 73rd where it's looks like it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, I mean,
These can't just be plants and they're gonna die. It's sad.
well, the restoration is a lot more than just sticking plants in the ground. It's substantial soil remediation.
Oh, you are.
And- Yeah, of course. I didn't go to that detail, but it's.
Where are you getting the materials to remediate the soil?
Various places, we do a lot of, probably site one or different vendor. It depends on what our
You
standards.
don't work with the Riverside Park South.
They don't have enough to share. We'll do it in-house.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. We always look forward to the updates you guys bring.
Yeah, and thank you for coming in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's much better.
We're excited about this, so we're happy to share.
You're doing lots of
Yeah,
work
you're doing
and
great.
hours.
You're really
My career, but, and then I will say this too, we have some money from state money. That, you know, we're gonna do some restorations and post and chain fence on.
Yeah.
I think 19 other malls up to 123rd Street with, so those will, you know, a lot of, you walk by some of them, and they're knocked down. You know, and it's a mess, so we're gonna be replacing those entirely.
Thank you.
Capital Line.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so, while, Margaret, you can come here to the table. And, while Margaret is doing that, I think we also have council member Shauna Bro on Zoom. Is that correct?
Natasha, before we move on, we did have a question.
Oh, you did have a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Peter Arnston has his hand raised.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I had a quick point. We've with the bid, we did a lot of tree bed maintenance. And one of the things that we found was that using herbaceous plants takes a lot of knowledge and work to maintain them. And wherever possible, it may be beneficial to use shrubs that grow a little bit taller but are much more resilient and won't hide the rats nearly as much. So just to be aware of that. I don't need an answer. I just wanted to put that out there as a possible suggestion. There are a number of native shrubs, and the people that are, I mean, Parks Department is very cognizant of them. So thanks.
Very important.
Thank you, Peter.
You know, Bob was on this community board for years.
Alex,
Okay,
is
knowledge.
Shauna Bro on?
Yeah.
Hello.
I don't see Sean.
Okay. Okay, maybe they'll join again.
You can, wanna go with.
Yeah, we'll go. Margaret, are you?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah,
Is it-
no.
did you-
You could do a switcheroo, or you could come sit over there.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
So, next on our agenda is Margaret Bracken. Welcome back. We always love it when you come to visit us. She's here to present about the adult fitness, equipment installation in Riverside Park South at, West 70th Street.
Thanks.
So this will be great to hear.
Should I go over there to sort of advance it or?
I think
Alex.
I think Alex will advance it for you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, just give me a heads up when you want me to move to the next slide.
I will, thanks very much. So, this is participatory budget funding. We have, with many things in the park, we have to thank Councilmember Gail Brewer for this. So, we have 250,000 to install some adult fitness equipment in Riverside, in actual fact, in this case, in Riverside Park South. So we have the fitness equipment at different locations in the park where typically we put it where we have an existing area of recreation, you know, basketball courts, you know, where there's a constituency that is going to use it, and it's going to sort of like augment the existing active recreation in that area. So the goals are very simple: install adult fitness units and install the appropriate full height of safety surface. Next, please. I don't think she.
Next, please.
Hey, Alex.
So, you know, these are kind of like our boilerplate slides, but some of you might know the location here, Riverside Park South. We're in the north end of Riverside Park South. So as I said, this is an existing area of active recreation where we did some fairly recent reconstruction in 2020, but it was actually built as phase 1 of Riverside Park around about 2000. So we've got handball there, we've got basketball,
And we have a multi-purpose field, the league field. It's also, you know, as I said, it's kind of tucked under the highway there in the north end of Riverside Park South. Next, please. So, you know, these are the things that we investigate, you know, when we locate the park. And this area, because we're on the waterfront, we have minor flooding to the west of this area during Superstorm Sandy, but we haven't had any issues since then. And moving on to the next two slides.
Where's Rob?
They show street flooding where we have no problems at all in this area with any street flooding. And next, please. In fact, you can jump to. Should I go over there and jump? So, you know, looking at the sort of adjacent area, we have playgrounds, areas of active recreation to the north and south in Riverside Park, and in Riverside Park South to the south of this area. So all within Riverside Park. And the next one, please. Looking at the history of this area, as I think a lot of you know, have been involved in this project, this area for many years. The top left, this was actually New York Central Railway Yards, which were sort of closed in around about 1970, abandoned for several years, and then it then became part of the development in Riverside Park South. Various phases of the park, 6 phases total, have been opened in conjunction with the construction of the buildings and then turned over to the city for maintenance. So on the right-hand side, you can see images of various phases of the park which have been completed. Next, please. So looking at the larger park, so phase 6 is actually in the southern end where that blue rectangle is. And that area is actually in construction at the moment. So almost completely active recreation in that area. We have a large synthetic turf multi-purpose field and again, basketball courts, and we're actually putting some parkour in that area. So that is under construction at the moment, phase 6 fitness equipment. And our proposed site for this fitness equipment is the red rectangle in the northern end of the park. So this is actually more than 10 blocks apart. And, you know, in terms of the recreation and the usage, and the sort of demographics, somewhat different. Next slide, please. And this is a good image, you know, to show the entire park as it will be fairly soon when it's all completed. So this is the equipment that we're proposing for the southern end. So these are these kind of individual units that will go in the area where we're putting the basketball court and pickleball courts. Next, please. I'm looking at the northern end here. You can see the existing recreation there, mostly reconstructed in 2020. So we have basketball courts, we have handball, we have batting cages, and that kind of mustardy colored area there, 3 and 4, that's an area of parkour, which is fairly unusual for the city and one of the few parkour areas in the city. So, you know, in looking at the proposed location for this fitness equipment, we wanted to sort of kind of match the aesthetic of the parkour area, because you can see from the images on the left-hand side, it's fairly distinctive. And the middle image there is the area that we're proposing to install the fitness equipment, because there is a sort of fairly large, you know, reasonably sized open space there. When we worked on Riverside Park South, the original intent was we considered putting a skate park in that area. However, you know, because of the particular traffic into the Amtrak tunnel and everything, it kind of limited the space that we had available. And we also had funding issues as we moved ahead with it. So that is our location there underneath that too. Next, please. And this is, you know, again, you see the area that we're looking at with, you know, the black dotted line, the circulation all around. It's adjacent to the Greenway and with easy access from the north and south. Next, please. So, as I said, we're planning as much as we can to match the aesthetic of the parkour area, which is pretty distinctive in terms of the safety service and also the units themselves. Next, please. So these are so instead of having individual units, what we're actually proposing to do is to install this one kind of contiguous unit that has all of our standard features in it. It's parallel bars, ADA parallel bar, sit-up bench, various pull-ups and everything, and different types of climbing opportunities. Next, please. Again, looking at the plyometric boxes. So although it's one large unit, there are sort of variety of different uses for various points in this unit. Next, please. As I mentioned, sort of adhering to a similar aesthetic in terms of the safety surface, fitting it in that little area that I showed, and on the right-hand image there, you can see that open area of asphalt and the size of the unit, which is actually, fairly large. Next, please. And this shows it in relationship, the bottom right, in the relationship to the rest of the active recreation and Adler. And that's our proposal, and please let me know if you have any questions.
How soon will it be there?
So, as you know, it's in design at the moment. It'll probably be bid, I would say 2026. So, yeah, so 2026. By the time, the design is completed, we're in the process of going through our approvals. We don't need a resolution because this part of the park is not landmarked. We're not ready to see because it's, existing recreation. I would say 2026.
This type of, like having one particular structure, like, have you used it before? I haven't seen it.
No, we haven't actually. I'm not sure. This is certainly going to be one of the first times this particular design by a company that do a lot of this equipment. And it's a relatively new design and it seems to be a good opportunity to try it out. Because it has a sort of similar aesthetic to the parkour, but also because we did want to be different from the area to the 61st Street. Because I think there's a constituency there.
Yeah.
We want to keep things interesting. And I've noticed, in this area, we see people using the parkour and we do a lot of pull-ups. They're actually using that parkour equipment as fitness equipment. So we have some general idea of the sort of constituency down there. So,
I'm going to the restaurant and watch everybody work out.
yeah. They go to playgrounds and everything and use the playground equipment. So there's really a need for more.
Great. Gentlemen, thank you. That's a question.
Oh,
Yeah.
Who's paying for it?
Gail Brewer,
Pardon?
council member Gail Brewer.
Okay, the whole thing?
Yes. Well, it's a relatively small project. It's $250,000, which actually translates to 180 construction. So, by our standards,
And that was through participatory budgeting. It was.
any other questions in the room? Anybody on the Zoom who has any?
Yeah, we have one hand raised. It's Wendy Polis. Wendy, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, my question was about the Sherman Square Park. There's a lot of commercial vehicles there. We have Fresh Direct there 12 hours a day. And we have a taco truck there 8 hours a day. We have people loitering there waiting for their food. People unloading the trucks. We're going to beautify it and then people are going to mess it all up. They throw their garbage there. There's grease stains all over the place. We have influx of pigeons. That area has become disgusting. So we're going to spend all this money on beautiful plantings and tree pits, and then it's going to be abused.
Thank you for your opinion.
You should really take a look sometime at 4 o'clock when the taco truck comes, and 9 a.m. when Fresh Direct comes, and they're there for hours and hours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We'll, the Sherman Square team, the Broadway Malls team has left, but we will pass this on to you. And I think they're very aware of the conditions, and that is why they're looking to beautify it and to restore it.
Well, it would be great, but it's gonna be ruined by the people that loiter there for hours every day.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any questions for Margaret Bracken from Riverside Park about the installation of the equipment?
I don't see any additional hand raised or questions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Is Alex's Sean back online? You know?
I don't see a council member online right now.
Oh, yeah. Is Matt Genrich
Online.
online?
Yes.
Oh, great.
I am online. Can I share my screen?
Yes, you should have sharing ability.
Let me share. All right, are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes. We can see
Yes.
it.
All right, so I wanted to make sure the community and the community board was aware New York City Parks has started a new initiative called Vital Parks. And this Monday, Commissioner Donahue, along with Mark Levine and Community Board 12 are going to be hosting a meeting to talk more in depth about Vital Parks on Monday, November 12th at Chelsea Recreation Center from 6:30 to 8. But along with this, I wanted to kind of share with you guys online our new Vital Parks page and what that looks like. Because there are some resources here that the community and the community board can use when you're trying to set priorities for making improvements and looking at the environment in our parks. So if you go to our main parks page, nycgovparks.org, right in the middle of our page is our new Vital Parks link. So if you click on here, it'll take you to our Vital Parks page. And this is a document that goes into all the details about Vital Parks, as well as if you can't make Monday's meeting, there's our kickoff forum that Commissioner Donahue, there's is like a 2-hour video that you can listen to Commissioner Donahue talking about our Vital Parks initiative. But for the community board, I wanted to highlight a few things. So this is looking at our parks infrastructure and how we can increase park, from our increased park usage and our how we need to have a more data focused on how we define, measure, and invest in our parks for the future. And that's what this Vital Parks is primarily about. So one great thing about this is if you click on our Vital Parks map, it'll takes you to, let's see if it takes you to the whole city. And it ranks each, there's different features here that you can look at as a community board. So you have active recreation areas, you have community gardens, cooling features, dog runs, and most of this rates it on if it's the feature is in a 10-minute walk within an area. So we'll look, Community Board 7 is actually doing pretty well in most areas. We'll look at a quick overview of Community Board 7, and then we'll look at, we can zoom into the map a little deeper. So you can see compared to the rest of Manhattan, active recreation area, or the rest of the city, we're doing 95%. Dog runs, we're at 57% versus the city is 18%. One thing that I know that the community board, you guys have been taking a focus on is public restrooms. So you guys are at 98% walkability, to a 10-minute restroom, but we'll zoom in a little bit more on the map to show you a few other things. One thing that actually was really interesting to me is you look at waterfronts, 43%. You would think with Riverside Park, we'd be at 100%. I know we've had presentations and talked about, Riverside Park, not all of the waterfront being accessible. And I think that's why, Community Board 7 has a only 43% rating when it comes to, waterfront accessibility. So let me go back here and zoom in. Really quick here to Community Board 7. So once you zoom in, we can look at it. I don't know why this is. Sorry about that. So once you zoom in, it starts lighting up the street. So if we click on like street trees, it'll show you how each block is doing with street trees. And you notice that there's like some gaps in here where some blocks have lower percentages of street trees. So that's one thing that you as a community board can look at. Maybe you want to look at investing in, planting more street trees on this block. You can also click on the specific block and it'll give you a rating on all of the features on that specific block. The other thing that I thought was interesting, let's go back to the map here. So we'll zoom in and maybe click on public restrooms, right? Since we know that's something we've been talking about in this district. You can see how there's some gaps on the streets where there's sections where they're not within a 10-minute walk of a restroom. So these are things that you guys can use this map as a tool, as a community board, to figure out what areas you want to look at to support for initiatives across Community Board 7. So I just wanted to share this. Please join Sue Donahue on this week from today on Monday night to learn more, or we can also give some flyers for the community board to be able to post online to spread the word about this new initiative, so people can look at our agency in more of a data focus and compare, your community board to other community boards and to other districts across other boroughs to see where we compare. Which, overall Community Board 7, you guys have always been pretty engaged, advocating for your neighborhood to get parks redone, and so you're doing pretty well. But there's always, for example, waterfront. Let's click on the waterfront. You can see how there's a lot of which was really surprising to me. There's a lot of District 7 that's not within a 10-minute walk of what they consider accessible waterfront. So does anyone have any questions?
How often is this data updated?
So I think it depends on the specific feature. So there's some of it's updated. It's updated as much as the data is put in. So for example, like I'm trying to think what would be like some of it depends on the division. So a lot of this is data that's inputted from our forestry division or like our capital division. So I can't give a specific answer for exactly how often each thing is updated.
It's updated like sporadically. It's not something that's like.
Yeah, it's
6 months
not the whole, yeah, so each of these like points feed into a different aspect of apps and assets that we manage through our park system, and then that information is funneled through to update features here.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. One quick question. Oh, your last statistic about, was it 10% you were measuring the closest to a park? And I think, what was that again? When you use 10%, I didn't quite understand what that was telling us.
Yeah, so if you look at the features up here, when you click on a feature, it'll say like, for example, waterfronts, that for it to be in 10 minutes of a waterfront, that's what it's rating the district on, like what percentage of the district is within 10 minutes of accessible waterfront. And it does the same thing for like swimming facilities. One thing that was also interesting about swimming facilities is it's only talking about outdoor swimming facilities. So we know that all the pools are towards the northern end of the district, but Gertrude Ederle is down here. So if they included indoor pool space, you would have more accessibility to within 10 minutes of a pool. It's a 10-minute walk is kind of like a national they look at that as it's kind of like a lot of communities in the park system in different states and cities. They want things to be within a 10-minute walk, so they're accessible and available. Now, obviously, there's some things that will never be in New York City. You'll be in a 10-minute walk. So there are a few things that they want them to be within a 15-minute transit ride. I believe like nature trails, I believe, was one of them. So we want nature trails to be within a 15-minute transit ride from Community Board 7, or I think Forever Wild sites was another one. We're measuring it on what trails are within a 15-minute transit ride.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Any other questions?
Question.
Oh, yeah.
When you talk about time to a bathroom, is that a locked bathroom or an unlocked bathroom? And what time of year is that? Because right about now, bathrooms have had their water shut off probably, and they're probably all locked, especially north of 96th Street.
So I can't speak specifically for bathrooms within Riverside Park because I don't manage the operations of Riverside Park, but I can tell you that all of the bathrooms within the playgrounds of Community Board 7 stay open year round. And they're open according to our posted operational hours. So hours right now are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. But on the Upper West Side, we do keep our bathrooms open year round till at least minimum 5 p.m. And then seasonally during the summer, it goes up to 7 p.m. and 8 p.m.
Thank you. Alex, is there anyone on the Zoom with a question or comment?
No, but I see Wes Hamilton has his hand raised.
Wes Hamilton.
Hello, can you hear me? This is Wes. I'm just wanted to give a brief update for Riverside Park, and happy to answer any questions about comfort stations as well. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew I was here. I'm sorry I signed in a little bit late, but whenever you could fit me in, I'd like to give an update for Riverside.
Yeah.
And we do call now we officially call our restrooms restrooms or bathrooms too. So I know that verbiage changed I think within the last year or two, but.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much, Matt. We will have the Vital Parks Initiative. We'll have Max put it out in our next newsletter, maybe to get more publicity for it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Wes Hamilton, you can go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. So, good evening, everyone. Wesley Hamilton, Riverside Park. Thank you, Matt, for all of that, and Margaret for all that. Just wanted to give a brief update at Riverside Park South. We're having a contractor do some repair work. We're actually very happy, and good thing to have the sewer connected for Pier I. That's been the sewer there has been in a holding tank, and the concessions is requiring Pier I to connect it to the sewer, which is so we have the contractor who's doing that. And at the same time, we also want the contractor is going to be doing some trenching to help us with the irrigation issue that we have. So that's the good news. The bad news of that means we will need to give a short detour on the bike path again, but it's a very easy detour. We'll simply be diverting bike traffic, right at about 69th Street, just before Pier I, just south of Pier I. We'll be diverting that in front of the cafe, and there'll be bike path will go on the waterfront. It'll be shared path. Approximately about 3 blocks just past the soccer field, if you're familiar with the area. And then it'll go back to being separate bike path that goes north. So we want to give everyone an update on that. We anticipate that not occurring until after we're asking the contractor to wait for the bike path until after the holidays, so we minimize how long that detour is. But we expect it to be about approximately 3 weeks for that construction to be completed. And like I said, it seems like a very easy detour, but we'd like to get the word out there because we know a lot of people ride bikes through that bike path, myself included, and some people here on the board. So anybody can help us pass the word out. We'll have it fully signed, listed and posted everywhere. We'll be working on that tomorrow. And if there's any questions with that, I'd be happy to field that. And as well as any questions or anything at Riverside in Community Board 7.
Thank you. I did have a question. Do you have any update on the rail transfer station? The project to restore that?
The rail, I'm sorry,
The
no,
transfer bridge, maybe.
the transfer bridge. I don't have any updates on that. I can try to look into it and get back to you maybe.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you. I think it's a problem at our end.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, now we can.
Okay. I don't have an update on that, but I'll be happy to look into it, maybe get back to the board on that one.
Yeah, because we read in the press that it's a project that's about to start, I think in early next year. And we just wanted to know what the process of that would be.
Where is that? I don't know.
It's the rail transfer bridge. It's
In the water?
yes,
The
yes.
old one.
Yeah, the old one.
They were gonna restore that. They are?
Apparently they came to CB7 in 2015 to talk about it last. And then they are now going to do it. And it won't be functional, but it'll be more, I think maybe Did you write about it?
Yeah, yeah. I remember. Yeah, they were talking about the science.
Do you know more about it?
I don't know if that's the first you heard about it. It's like it's-
But, I did reach out to Riverside, but I reached out to John Harold and the Parks Department, but I have not heard anything
Well,
back
when you
from
say
them.
restore it, what do you mean exactly? I mean.
Could you maybe just tell what you maybe, if you can't say
I understand
more.
they had awarded a contract to basically stabilize it, and maybe repaint it and do some work on it.
Just to make the artwork look a little nicer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a functional
Yeah.
thing at
Okay.
all, but, it'll be restored. But we just don't know, but I have questions about things like staging, timing, approval, like
And what's
where.
can you give me the location again on where this is at?
Yeah, 70th and the river,
Yeah.
69, 70 and the river, you know, the big structure
Oh.
in the water.
That
Okay.
structure, that piece, that metal that's sort of crushed.
Okay. The historic one. All right, I'll look into that and I'll get back to the board. I'll give you some information. We'll find out what's happening with that. But at this time, I don't have any additional news. So sorry.
You know, when
That's
Adrian
okay.
Bentley was the Parks Commissioner, he felt very strongly that it should stay exactly as is, that it was a piece of artwork
Yeah.
and that nothing should happen. So I didn't hear about this, so it's really amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to know, like, the extent of
Yeah.
what's happening over there.
Yeah.
But if anybody else in the room has something to share, then we would very here to listen.
Okay.
Is the 10 mile, it's not
Oh.
this community board,
So, did you have a question?
well, it's not about
For
the
what?
community board.
Okay.
So,
Okay. All right, does anybody else have any questions for Riverside Park? Any other?
Actually, I do.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
There's a resolution in CB9 to turn this exit ramp, I think it's called exit ramp 10 of the Henry Hudson Parkway. It starts out as being one lane, widens to 2 lanes. It starts around the 119th Street tennis courts in Riverside Park, and then it empties out at St. Clair Street place. And because it's not available, all the vehicles for Riverside Park, New York City Parks, and also the Conservancy have to go south first to either get on the Cherry Walk when it's not being worked on, or they have to go to Riverside Drive currently to get to the northern park. And it'd be nice if this committee had a resolution to say, we would like to have that thing make New York State DOT free up one of those lanes.
This, you said.
It's
out of our district? It's out of our district.
However, Riverside Park is your district.
No, only sections, unfortunately.
No?
No, we don't cover all of Riverside.
No, I didn't say all.
No,
But the
you-
part of Riverside Park.
That is relegated to CB9, we cannot. We go to 110th Street, period. Yeah.
Okay,
I understand.
but that's the problem, that because of the work on Cherry Walk, just general
Yeah.
times, all the vehicles, even if from 110th Street down, go south first to 100th, or going north down Cherry Walk or on Riverside Drive. Because DOT is hogging some space.
Sounds like community board 9 though.
Okay.
Put together a good resolution.
Well, we're going, CB9 is kind of like passing off on this. They don't want to deal with it. They say New York State DOT.
If it were just in the park, it would be something we could discuss, but not because of.
Anybody else?
David. All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. All right, so we thought we would have Councilmember Sean Rowe join us tonight, and he apparently did right in the beginning, but then he dropped off, and Alex is trying to contact him or his office. But hopefully she succeeds, and hopefully they join again. But for now, let's just move on with our meeting. And the next item on the agenda is within new business. We are going to have a discussion on hyperlocal quality of life issues. This is not something that our committee has ever done before. We are the Parks and Environment Committee, but we have rarely ever actively discussed environment issues. And by environment, I don't mean the environment with a capital E. I mean more, quality of life issues that you see around you. And so earlier last month, Daria and I had sent out an email soliciting. We wanted to start small. We solicited ideas from just this group, just this committee. And the criteria was for the ideas to be hyperlocal and for them to be actionable as much as possible so that we could actually do something about them. We also wanted, if there was something slightly more complicated or involved, we wanted this to be a team effort, and we are looking for your help in getting speakers or panelists to educate ourselves more on whatever topics we try to tackle. So what I did was I looked at all your emails. Thank you so much, everybody who contributed. And I put together a list, Daria and I did, of the various topics, which maybe Alex could share at this point on the screen. And we've sort of grouped them into broad categories. And one or two items are actually, they're just general updates. They're not really updates about updates on ideas that were generated by this committee, but they are important enough to bring up right now. Central Park, as you know, Central Park Conservancy had financed a drive safety and circulation study. They'd sent out, they'd sent out a survey more than 18 months ago. And just today, they gave a sneak peek of that to the co-chairs of the parks committees of all the community boards that surround Central Park. So Daria and I were able to listen in on that Zoom call, and the final report will be released tomorrow morning to the public. And we are inviting them to our next Parks and Environment Committee meeting. We've reached out to the Transportation Committee as well. It will most likely be a joint meeting. However, they have said that the meeting will be informational only because they will not most likely be asking for any resolutions, because it already has the blessing of the Department of Transportation, the Parks Department. So they do not anticipate asking for a resolution. But they are very, very open to coming to us whenever we invite them. So probably next month or maybe in January, we'll get to hear from them directly here at Community Board 7. But as of right now, we just wanted to give you a few highlights, very, very high level. They outlined some short-term, some medium-term, and some long-term goals. Short-term would involve something very easy, like the repaving and restriping by DOT of the drives, all 6 miles of the drives, of all the crosswalks of the drives, adding features like rumble strips. And basically, the one big overarching idea of this project is to make the park sort of more, to make all the rules sort of more clear visually so that enforcement will always be needed, but eventually over time, there's less enforcement needed. So, that's something they hope to tackle in the short term, in the medium term. Apparently they showed us a visual of this, that in the south side of the park, the main drive is separated by wooden railings that are parallel to the main drive, and that it very clearly defines where the drive begins and where the pedestrians are meant to be. But somehow in some areas, that is missing. So they're going to actually fix that and sort of extend that path, that wooden railing. They're going to replace many of the traffic lights with some lower, more modern traffic lights that are going to be targeted more at pedestrians and bikers. They're also going to make the 86th Street bridle path, which is like the outer loop of the what's it called? The reservoir, the outer loop, more accessible for bikers to go from east to west, west to east. And also they are looking, even though this is a much bigger project, they're looking into converting, the sidewalk on the transverse of 86th Street into a bike lane only. And by that, they will be able to create bike lanes.
But they won't go on the.
But they will not have to reduce the size of the road at all, which they can't do because the buses mainly.
Way to make it safe.
It'll be with a barrier.
Because right now, many of the bikes going east to west are using the northern, especially the northern part of right around the reservoir.
Right.
Discussed with the commissioner multiple times.
So they're hoping to fix that. They know about a lot of the hotspots, the conflict hotspots like East 72nd Street, the area on the west side by the Delacorte Theater. So they're looking at different. They had some ideas for enforcement. They didn't really go into that, but really one big push is for them to make the park just more intuitive with very clear signage, color, striping, etc., so that there is less need over time for enforcement, even though enforcement is something that they will always have, but enforcement is expensive and, we don't really have, and it's expensive and, unsustainable really. So, this was just a very, very, very high level summary that we got, this morning. And, I guess tomorrow morning, it'll be out in the papers, it'll be public knowledge, and the entire report will be published also, so you can take your time to read it.
Just our district, or is it citywide or Manhattan?
I mean, this is Central Park. This is
Central
Central Park.
Park. Oh,
Yeah.
I see, okay.
This is Central Park. So
it touches on all the other.
That's great, yeah.
So, the second item was West 71st Street, the safety concerns. I think everybody here knows about the shootings that happened. The shooting that happened, I think it was on Halloween Eve. And so I actually just attended an all stakeholders meeting that was organized by Gail Brewer's office just now before our meeting here. Many different stakeholders were there. But ultimately the question for us is what can we, speaking of hyperlocal issues for our committee, what can we as the Parks and Environment Committee do? And, one thing that I was given this handout, which I can pass around now. One idea is for one place where we can be sort of productive is through trash containerization. Right now, the pizza place puts out illegally a lot of trash, like bags and bags of trash. And there's a photo in here of that, which is out there 24/7. So we can, Little Italy Pizza, it's right next to the McDonald's. So if we could lobby for some sort of containerization over there. That's what they're looking for. There are also these very bulky looking tree grates in there that Matt Genrich, who was at the meeting, and I don't know if he's still on the call, but he said that those were not done by the Parks Department. And so maybe we can get better tree grading done over there. And there are also 2 scaffoldings in the area, immediate area, and there's like a lot of drug use and all sorts of nefarious activities going on over there. I guess Linda Rosenthal was there and she was talking about the scaffoldings and working on getting those particular scaffoldings to sort of expedite them to come off. Yeah.
With the first point, all those terrible features or detrimental features, were they all focused around or the vicinity of the McDonald's?
Mostly around the McDonald's, around that corner.
That's why, and I understood that. And what came to mind, which is enforcement and focusing on this private owner and the ownership of the physical end of things. Which you just described, which could be and should be the responsibility of McDonald's in enforcement. It won't solve everything, but your description gives me at least the sense of the difficulties and then what is the responsibility of this property owner?
Yeah, so I will not get into too much detail of that because, you know, I think it's better if all those stakeholders speak for themselves. But what I do know is that McDonald's is there. It is very prominent. It is very busy, but it is a franchise owner. It is not McDonald's corporate. The property owner is somebody different who has been apparently very cooperative, according to Bill Brewer. But you know, there are a lot of different factors happening over here. There's gun violence. There's, you know, youth who have like, you know, they need to have something to keep themselves busy. You know, a lot of delivery bikes, trash, sanitation. So it's not any just one thing, and I don't want to reduce it
I didn't say
to
it
that.
was one thing.
Sure. But I just wanted to give you an update on that, and there will be other meetings on this, I'm sure. The idea was what can we, as the Parks and Environment Committee, do? So this is just very fresh off the presses, so I'm not sure how we can tackle this, but
I'm trying to figure out how this is germane to Parks and Environment. I can't even find it.
the sanitation part, you know, trash containerization, tree grates, scaffolding. So these
I would
three
think that would
things.
be more of a business than consumer issues, because you're dealing with retail there, and you're also dealing with property owners.
The tree grates, if you see in that photo, you know, there are like these huge tree grates, which are, I don't know who put them in. Matt Genrich said that actually the Parks Department did not put them in. So they would like to take them off and put them, like put something else in there that's
All they
like
have to
easy.
do then is fine, if they're not legal, then they have to find the property. They are legal, well, it depends, I mean, there's like.
Natasha, I'm still on the line. Let me clarify. So they weren't referring to the actual tree guards. There is like a mesh that was installed around the tree pits. So like if you wanted, for example, to plant anything in the tree pits, you wouldn't be able to do so because there's like a wool mesh around each of the tree pits. A lot of some places will use it to deter like rodents from burrowing into the tree pit. And as far as I know, that wasn't installed by Parks. But they were asking, Gail was asking if instead of having tree guards there, there are like grates that go flush with the ground over an existing tree pit, so it makes the area more pedestrian friendly. So I'm gonna look into that with our forestry division to see if that's something that would be that area could be, modified in that way. If funding and resources were available to do so, if it's even like something that's feasible.
Matt, also, I was just there. I actually walked by there after the meeting and I saw these other, I don't know what they're called technically, grates or grills or whatever. They're sort of relatively tall. They're curvy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
They're the tree guards that go around that frame out to protect the tree. Is that what you're speaking about? It's an iron gate that goes around the actual tree.
There's a picture on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so is that a Parks Department thing?
I mean, I would have to look to see if they were. So usually the Parks Department doesn't put in tree guards, but they will give, property owners adjacent a permit to put in protective tree guards. I mean, those have been there for a while, so I would have to do some research to see how those tree guards were initially installed. I'll have to follow up with our forestry team.
Yeah, so right now I'm not suggesting that we do anything right now because I don't even know what we could do. And I wanted to speak to Beverly about whether we as a board would do something together or whether we as a committee would just take on the sanitation portion of it, which is more about the trash containerization. And so I'm not suggesting anything. I'm not putting anything on the table right now.
I'm gonna proffer an idea.
Yeah.
I can see this being a joint issue with business and consumer issues with BCI. And because the trash issue is precipitated by the local retail.
It is business, yeah.
Whereas, but the health issue has everything to do with environment. So that sounds like a really opportune moment for a joint meeting.
Right, and I don't even know if this qualifies for a full-blown meeting, joint meeting, or something like a letter or some, I don't know, because already there are so many eyes on this problem that I feel like that it's just piling on more, like we just want to get something done rather than having another meeting.
From my own point of view, and having run the Columbus Avenue bid for 20 years, trash and trash containerization is a huge problem. The merchants pay no attention to the fact that if they have private carters, they're supposed to put their trash out no more than 2 hours before their carter picks up.
Yeah.
Unless it's in the middle of the night, in which case they can do it when their store closes. But residential buildings disregarded left and right, and unless we have enforcement, which is out of our hands.
Yeah.
I don't think anything is ever gonna happen with this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm completely in favor of having containerization that's adequate and rat-proof and everything else, but.
Yeah,
Well,
I think the idea is that this area, it's a mess. No matter how you look at it, whether it's
of this year, 2024, commercial spaces had to have special types of containerization. And if they don't, then they're supposed to get fined by Department of Sanitation. Whether they're waiting for their carters or not.
Right.
Here's a question.
Is there a question?
No.
Oh, sorry, you.
Hi, I had a quick question, more so a curiosity question regarding this meeting where this handout was given out.
Yeah.
With the posting of a policeman there, is that sort of what is the timeline on that versus when you're implementing all these different proposed solutions? Is that
posting
a
of a
permanent?
policeman at
At that area, the McDonald's Square.
Yeah, so NYPD was there at our meeting, and right now they do have a lot of police presence since the shooting over there. And the commanding officer of the 20th precinct who is there at the meeting, she said that right now I can afford to, to post a car over there. but I don't know how sustainable that is, especially with the holidays that are coming. And then the McDonald's manager was also there. And somebody brought up the idea of getting paid detail, which is like privately paying police officers to provide security. And McDonald's said, well, we've done that in the past and it has been effective, but because it is so prohibitively expensive, we would not really do it unless, things go totally, completely south again. And they also said that in general, nothing beats the presence of an NYPD officer, even a plain, a security guard, a paid security detail is not as effective as an NYPD. So, it's a Band-Aid, police presence is a Band-Aid right now. I think the more important issues, which are beyond the purview of this committee, were things like youth issues, because a lot of the problems are caused apparently over there by big groups of teenagers who, if they're on their own, they're fine, but when they get together in a group, trouble happens. Or open drug use, things like that, the scaffolding that's there, it's dark, it's dingy, things like that. So, yes.
Hi, I'm sorry, I don't know if, so I live in, Riverside. And about a variety of my friends and I have to get off on the stop on 72nd and have to walk through that to turn on 70th, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the best way. And now we're not. Now
Yeah.
we're walking on the other side. We're walking through where the food for the dogs.
Yeah.
Through the middle to try to avoid that, because if you're walking there by 10 p.m.
Yeah.
and you're a single, there's many of us, there's so many people sitting on those chairs in front of the pizzeria that it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I've had friends of mine who, guys have shown them genitals.
Yeah.
I have friends of mine, a man who her a lock. I had a friend of mine, and 5 p.m., we're not talking about like we were coming home at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. We're just normal citizens coming home after work. So it is becoming, I lived in New York for 10 years. We've all lived here for a long time. There is part of it that we're like, it is what it is. But it's becoming to the point mainly in that, in that little area, that it's uncomfortable. I had a friend of mine get jumped by 10 bikers they were young kids. They were on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And this happened 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They were on the sidewalk. My friend said, hey, get off the sidewalk. That's a simple comment. 5 kids, 18 to, I don't know how old, started hitting him.
Yeah.
He ended up in the hospital.
Yeah.
So all these little things, again, I don't know what the solution is, and I think it's and I don't know if it's here or where, but I know that there's a lot of us going down a lot. And I think this is what it becomes mentioned, when as a citizen, I'm now walking 2 more blocks.
Yeah.
To make sure that at that point, and that's when I say, oh, maybe we should bring it up. And I actually think that those chairs in front of the pizzeria, I thought at first that was kind of nice, but I think it just creates a hang. It creates a hang from the people who are picking the weed from the weed shop, for the people who are gonna stay for a little longer to eat the pizza, from the people who, it just it creates this little, oh, now I have a meeting point, and now we can sit there and no one's gonna say anything.
Yeah, so I totally hear what you're saying, and even today was like after many, many months that I was actually on that block, I always also avoided, I walk on the other side of Broadway. It's a shame that it took like gun violence for so many elected officials to be involved in this issue, which it should never have gotten this bad.
This is crazy.
But what I'm trying to say is that there are many different pieces. This is not the only meeting. This is not the only committee that is, handed the responsibility of resolving this issue. And there are many, like Gail Brewer, Linda Rosenthal, Brad Coleman, they were all there. So I'm glad that there are now all these eyes on this issue. It should not have gotten to this point. Nobody needs.
2-4, they were there. The CEO from 2-4 was.
From the 2-0.
2-0.
Oh, yes, she was there. She was there. The McDonald's guy was there. The property manager was not there, but he was he's been at other meetings, Matt Genrich was there, you know. Colleen from DOT was there, and about those chairs, a lot of people brought up the chairs that are outside, sitting outside, Little Italy Pizza. And she said that they're legal. Apparently they're legal, they have a permit for those chairs, but the good news is that their license is expiring, the permit is expiring, and they are about to come back to BCI. Are you on BCI? Somebody on BCI? They're coming back to BCI at some point, very imminently.
Oh,
So Colleen said, well, you know, you're CB7, if you can do something about it, you know.
That's very cool. We love coming.
So,
And I'm giving.
yeah.
And I know everyone has that eye now because of what happened, but like 6 months ago, there was a homeless guy who was killed on the apartment building behind, you know, when you turn the Wells Fargo?
Yeah.
He was killed there.
Yeah,
And
somebody
so
brought that up also.
this is like the big one that the city now knows.
Yeah.
But for us, the residents, we've been hearing about, I think there was also someone that got injured with a knife.
Yeah.
This like, oh, this is now in the eye.
It's like the 1970s when I moved here. Like
All right.
crazy.
All right, so we have to move on from this topic. I hear you. Like I said, this was an important update for me to give to everybody. This is not something that we're going to resolve. I'm going to talk to Beverly, Daria, and I will also, like, what can we do as the Parks and Environment Committee? Because a lot of it has to do with the environment over there, whether it's trash or, you know, whatever, these chairs, etc. And I understand maybe it's like to be done jointly with somebody like BCI. So that was the update on that. Now, the other, now this item, responsible animal ownership. I don't think anybody from Gail Brewer's office is here. Oh, oh, you are Cynthia. I'm so sorry. We've just talked on the phone, but you've never actually met. Yes. Please come on over. I wish I'd known that I would have actually brought up your item.
Faster.
Earlier.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy to be here. Thank you. I was happy to be here for the Riverside Conservancy Adult Fitness Center because we haven't even seen that proposal. I'm glad you guys got to. That's a first for me, so I'm very happy to see that.
Okay, well, thank you and welcome and sorry that we did not realize that you.
No problem at all.
Okay, all right, so go ahead. Tell us all about this spaying, neutering dogs and cats, this initiative.
Yeah, sure. So our office has been working on a bunch of different initiatives and efforts regarding pet ownership. There's obviously, you probably read that, you know, ACC is no longer right now taking dogs. They have a freeze on their dogs, and overall the shelters have been really full, and it's been an ongoing challenge and an ongoing problem. So we've been working with some animal activist groups who approached our office to try and take some steps to show other council members too, some small steps we can at least take right now, and while these emergencies are kind of happening. So there's just been a few efforts that Natasha had asked me about. That Beverly is a big animal activist, and she wanted me to come in today to just share a couple of those things with you guys that we're doing. So the first issue, in many cases, is also the exorbitant cost of spay neuter. So the free programs and the low cost programs are really limited. Like the ASPCA mobile van doesn't come into Manhattan, right? It's outside of Manhattan. So there are just very few options.
Humane,
Yeah,
CACC, they all give free, they all.
yeah, but it's very limited and it's not enough, right? So we're finding that it's not enough, right? To complement the work that they're already doing, we wrote a letter to the veterinary clinics in District 6, a whole bunch of them, at least 10 of them, asking them if they would join in sort of a low-cost spay-neuter event or a program, a day, something along those lines. And we outlined for them what the costs are for some of these mobile, like Tara and ASPCA, and what they're charging, to just see if they would even consider participating in something like that. So it was kind of right near and before the election, so we didn't get much feedback yet, but we're actually revising the letter now that ACC has put a whole, freeze on dog intake. To sort of refresh the whole idea, and we're sending another letter out like within the next day or two.
So did any of the vet clinics here offer to do like, discounted or?
Well, that's
free?
what we're asking them to do.
Oh, they
That's
haven't
what the
come
letter
second
is
yet.
asking. We haven't been able to get much feedback. So that's like just a work in progress. We're working on doing that and following up, and some of our local advocates are helping us with that work too. The other thing we did was that back in 2016, NYCHA actually had a program, a free spay neuter program with ASPCA and DOHMH, the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. And they have actually specific restrictions for NYCHA pet owners. The pet has to be registered and they must be spay neutered. But we've been hearing in our district office, especially of litters that have been born in NYCHA and some other types of things going on there with pet sales and all sorts of different things that made us feel that maybe that's not being upheld, or like, what are they doing to enforce those rules? So we're asking NYCHA to put this free spay neuter program back in place for NYCHA and section 8 owners, and in addition to that, ask them just for some data on the families, because this was another area that we felt could be supported. So we're waiting to hear back on that. We just sent that letter out yesterday or last week. The other thing, I don't know if any of you know, but we do monthly housing clinics with lawyers. So it's sort of a first come, first served, and people can ask questions. And the theme of the last one in October was pet ownership and your rights. So in your rights as a pet owner and what that means and sort of what the laws are and how to decipher them. And if people have been having challenges because it can lead to evictions, what is the law of how long can you have a pet before you could be open for eviction? So those were some of the animal issue things I think that we had spoken about.
Yeah, thank you. So this is something that Gail Brewer's office is working on, and the goal is to promote responsible pet ownership and to also control the population of unwanted pets, and to also coming to the next point, which is dog owner behavior, like off-leash dogs after 9 a.m. Use of grassy areas instead of dog runs, which is something you brought up. Dog waste, not cleaning that up after your dog. These are all, personal behaviors. Like, we can talk about pet owners' rights, but also the rest of us, who don't own pets, but we just want to walk down the street without stepping into something. So, I don't know what the solution to that is. I know that enforcement by DSNY for something like that is very, very difficult. It's virtually impossible. And, I was wondering if maybe one idea that I had was maybe your office could approach veterinarian offices that are here in our district, and there should be some mandatory literature that all new pet owners should go home with, because it seems like they don't even know.
No, they know, they don't care.
Or like I've seen so many times people picking up their dogs and having them go like inside tree pits when it very clearly states not to do that. So that kind of behavior, I don't know what the other solution to it is.
One of the things we've seen, because right now we're just finishing participatory budgeting, the idea collection phase. So the map has been open, and even though it said it's supposed to close last Friday, it's been remained open. And I'm also accepting ideas directly through our office, and we've done a bunch of items, pop-up events. There was a project put in for the waste bags to have like those that you see a little bit more only in the parks area, but to be throughout the whole district.
Like dispensers or?
Yeah, the dispensers, the waste dispensers, and trying to get those in other places to maybe encourage.
I think everybody's aware. I mean, I co-founded the dog run in Theodore Roosevelt Park in 1998, and Gail was one of the few people on this board at the time who actually was an advocate. But that behavior hasn't changed. I mean, it's hard to explain to people who are responsible, and people who aren't. And the people who are putting their dogs in the tree pits, you'd think they were responsible, they dress really nicely and everything, but they don't care. And
Yeah,
it's hard.
I don't think that it's necessarily that they don't care. It might be just that either there's a lack of a space or facility for the dogs to access
It's called
greenery or something like
It's called
that.
curb.
But it's about also creating access to dog runs, enhancing that, making sure that your dogs can have that space. I'm talking about off leash behavior. I've seen it more so not only in Central Park, but outside on green turf as well. So I think it's one, like you're saying, changing the behavior, but I also think it's associated with place and making sure that there is access to dog runs.
So we have a lot of dog runs in our district.
Yeah, but they're not good.
Well, okay, but, and some of them are very good.
No,
you
no,
know?
but even like, for instance, to your point about
they're
Teddy
very-
Roosevelt Park, there are 2 dog runs in
Yeah.
one corner and then there's a grassy area. And very often I see people in the grassy
They
area
put them
and not in
grassy area.
the dog run is right
Because
there.
they
It's literally right there.
And their dog runs throughout Riverside Park. The only place where there's not a dog run is Central Park. And the reason why there's not a dog run there is because of Conservancy, and we believe me, we advocated for it. I'm talking about 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so the agreement was finally, and this is when Commissioner Benefi was there. Before that, Commissioner Stern had a tacit agreement that you could have your dogs off leash before 9 a.m. Between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. And then it became part of the park's regulations. And that was 1999, somewhere around 2000.
Okay.
So, but again, you'll see the behavior where people do, I will go, I mean, I walk my dog in Central Park around the Great Lawn, which is, I know about the bikes, and you'll see people just bringing their dogs off leash at all hours onto the Great Lawn.
Yeah,
You're talking about people's behavior, and you have to change the mindset, and you can't.
Yeah, okay, in the interest of time, I'm going to ask Peter Arnston. I think he's on the call and he has a question.
Yes, thank you. Natasha, I actually wanted to go back to where you were talking about the expansion of the into the environment. Alex has been very helpful with our neighborhood north of 106th Street with a building that has been exhausting their boiler from their boiler chimney. There's a considerable amount of soot and so there's particulate waste, but then there's also the hydrocarbons. And our neighborhood has a large number of seniors and youth. And this is really negative stuff. You can see the soot just blowing in little waves up on some of the roofs where they have silvered roofs. So it's a real problem. She has been able to get some of the city inspectors to come in. However, I think she can give us more details and it would be worthwhile to check with her. But the inspector said, oh, he didn't see anything and therefore it wasn't a problem. This was during the summer. It had been going on for 3 months and people have been having their windowsills covered with black soot and having to close their windows during the middle of the summer because of the smell. So I'm hoping that either Department of Environmental DC or the city inspectors could do a better job of inspecting this and figuring out whether they're using illegal oil or what is going on there. So I'm wanting to bring that up and ask you to do that with
Thank you.
Alex.
We'll get more information from Alex, maybe offline and see what can be done, what has already been done and what can be done.
That'd be
Thank
great.
you.
If you need anything further from me, Alex knows how to reach me.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not germane to what you were talking about the dogs, just an FYI, Humane Society of New York has a program that if you adopt a dog a senior dog, I think 7 and older, they will give that dog free veterinary care for the duration of its life. And that should be, you know, the older dogs are the hardest to adopt.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of the issues over here on this list are issues that we are all in agreement of. You know, the issue exists. The purpose of this is not to rehash why the issue exists. It's more about like, what can we do about it now? And, so, you know, about this, like, we understand what you're doing about spaying and neutering, and that's totally in the right direction. And hopefully we'll have an update from you in the new year about it. But does anybody have any other ideas about, you know, dog waste, off leash, anything? You know, my only idea was better education for these pet owners. Like, since COVID, pet ownership has gone up tremendously. A lot of people with young kids who had like really no idea what they were getting into have started adopting. And I think the veterinarian network would be a very good one for us to leverage. And if a letter or something were to come from Gail Brewer's office, or a brochure that could go with all new adoptions or all new pets, you know, that would be really helpful. I mean, it would be, I don't know if it would be helpful or not, but it is something. Right now, there's nothing that's being done. So if you could look into that. Sure. Yeah. Then inactive, oh, actually, also somebody here that wasn't you who talked about the West 66 dog run?
Yeah.
And so I responded to your,
Yeah.
and I was wondering, is there a friends group? You don't know?
I'm not sure. I'm
Yeah.
assuming Upper West Side Dogs, like on Instagram, there might be some conversation.
Yeah, so, you
happening,
know,
but-
that's, if you could do some more research into it, because
Yeah.
you brought up the issue. So if the dog run is in bad shape, like, why is it in bad shape? Is
Mhm.
there, like, the Teddy Roosevelt, dog run has a friends group or something, right? No, she's talking about West
Yeah, I'd be happy
sixty-six.
to.
Yeah.
Is that truly
I don't know, you know, what happens is.
Okay, well, so.
Yeah, I'd be happy
He's
to
saying
share.
that,
You have a dog that you take there?
I do.
Okay, so then what you do, or you could do,
Okay.
I know in your free time, right?
Yeah.
Is that you help, because this is what we did. You help form a group of people who really care about it, and that's, you start advocating for it so that it gets cleaned up and the Parks Department is responsive.
Yeah.
So, but you need a core group of people who will take responsibility.
You also need money, so this could be a good participatory
There you go.
budgeting project to submit.
And then also, I think to your point about veterinary network, I think I've heard multiple stories from dog owners about increasing cases of Giardia and parasites
Right.
within or receiving from that dog park. So I think it's something to look
Yeah.
into in terms of just upkeep and care and hygiene.
When
We
we
just
found,
write all of that
Yeah.
in the pitch,
Yeah.
because we can submit this if the community, if you get behind it and get all of these people behind it, you can get them to vote for it. That's how
it
it
can be
works.
cured, I'm just telling you, and
Yeah.
it just takes one person like you to get the
Okay.
ball rolling.
Someone submitted one for down by the High School of Environmental Studies in the
Mhm.
fifties. There's a dog park that's also in really bad shape that they submitted for participatory budgeting as well.
Yeah.
So it's
Great.
definitely something, if you get a community group and it gets on that ballot, you could get the money.
Yeah.
You just need 3 or 4 people to get it going.
All right.
Thank you.
And I can help you get the word out and tell you what to do.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. We got a solution. Awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to try to go through the next few just really quickly. Inactive scaffoldings.
Sidewalks, Jed.
I was really hoping that Councilmember Abreu would be here. Is there anything that you have? to
Yeah,
say
the
about
only
that?
thing I can share, because it's,
I know that you have a lot of
there's a whole-
legislation.
yeah, there's a package of bills.
Yeah,
Predominantly from Keith Power's office,
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
And those bills already had hearings.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting and hoping that they'll be, selected for aging
Yeah.
soon, but I don't have an update on. the
Yeah,
timing
and
of that.
you don't need like a letter or a resolution?
No,
from
because
us
they've
would
already
not
had a
be-
hearing,
okay.
so, hopefully when the hearing did happen, I think it was back over in
Okay.
June, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys already did that, or somebody else already did that. But it's, you know, we're hoping that those will be passed, because some of them do have timeframes
Yeah.
associated with them.
Yeah, okay. All right, environmental, excessive noise at concerts or events in parks. We're looking into the Parks Department's permitting documents, what they have to say about noise. Decibel, like Global Citizen, and there was this other one.
When you guys are aware of Gail's efforts to get Global Citizen moved out of Central Park, she's written numerous letters.
Thank God.
She's been in the
Good,
press
that'd be
all
great.
over.
Directly
I could
impacted
share
me.
that, I can share that with all of you guys, so you
Yeah,
can see, I have a whole package on that.
Yeah.
So she's not gonna
Yeah.
give up on trying to get, she's not saying cancel it, she's just saying it doesn't belong in Central
No,
Park. Yeah,
it
it
wonderful
belongs
place.
at like a stadium or an arena or some nature like that,
Send it to
not on the grass.
CB1.
Electrification of heating, that's something that Alex Bell brought up, but I think that's more of a preservation issue, Alex.
Oh, sure, yeah. This is not-
Okay, thank you. Thank you so
Thanks,
much for
everybody.
coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, yeah.
The humane thing is huge, because it's, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into it,
Yeah,
we can share that in Gail's newsletter, which I think would be great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
coming.
Good night. So I think that's more of a preservation issue rather than our issue. Flooding on streets during excessive rain, snow, we have to hash this out a little bit more. I don't really, tap water taste, I think that Barbara, you had brought this up, but it's about the tap water in the city because of the water diversion.
Yeah.
But that's not a hyper local, I mean, it's a citywide issue, right? And it's just temporary for like 8 months or something.
Yeah.
So
Concerned
That's-
whether, now they're with our brothers, right?
safe or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you have any ideas on how to follow up with that, you know, then we would,
don't.
you know, okay,
No, I just thought, maybe somebody from DEP would be interesting to talk to.
right. About that, I was thinking even, okay, Ethel has also left for the night, but if you guys come up with a few different topics, we can have somebody from DEP come for it, to speak on a few different topics, but I would rather not get somebody to come and talk about just one topic, you know?
Okay.
So like if water is something, Ethel had just made a general comment about getting somebody from DP. So, but if we come up with something,
Peter
Yes.
Arnston was talking about, that, we've got.
The boiler,
one,
yeah.
Further south with
Okay.
the wood burning,
Hmm.
pizza stove.
okay,
The neighbors talking about, so then maybe that is the DEP.
Noise.
and noise,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
96th Street Subway Station, again, that was something that Alex Bell had brought up. And I was hoping that, Councilmember Abreu would be here because this is in his district. And maybe because he's also on the sanitation, committee, maybe he's done, I'm sure he's done some work on it. You asked a good question, that is it a funding issue or a priority issue? I can't say. News racks, reduce, remove. Again, Alex Bell.
Well, there's a new city council bill, they are being removed. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, there's new criteria that came out last.
Oh, did you know that, Alex?
Oh, these are the little yellow boxes?
Oh, I think they did.
I don't know, they're coming up with the city council's addressed it, they announced it last week. They're
Alex,
gonna
can you
have
look
a
into it? Yes,
Yeah.
okay. Upper Broadway bid, Alex, again, you wanted something 94th Street and above.
Oh, yeah, Barbara and I talked to the Broadway Mall, founder about,
The
why,
Upper Broadway.
yeah, why is there no bid? And he was very like, we tried a while ago, but we could never quite get it across the line. And so he was like, if someone wants to help, we need more fire.
Again, Sean Abreu would have been.
You have to get all the
Where's it
details
to have?
to go ahead with it. We tried that with Melissa Mark Viverito.
I mean, we can adjourn all the Shauna Brewer questions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is it.
yeah.
That's,
Yeah, I think that was about it. Tree guards, dirty.nyc, Alex, I see what you're saying. But the dirty.nyc, I'm not sure if that's like. That's more of a citywide initiative. Like, unless you can make a case somehow for making this.
It could be dirty.cb7.
And then in other issues, climate change topics and other DP related issues, so we could try to collect 2 or 3 different issues and then get somebody from DP to come.
That's a great idea.
Writer's law, I think I wrote back to you about it.
I saw that, yeah.
We don't have anything, and I don't think we'll take it on because it's about horse carriages, I think on the West Side Highway.
Yeah, it's
So
about, it's a new bill administering new licenses. Gilbert signed it,
Yeah.
everybody has it.
Yeah. And then projects along Riverside Drive, you had a question about it, so
Oh,
I'm not
yeah, so
sure
we
what
can
you
do that.
were, okay. So, I think we've tackled a lot and everything is, quality of life issues are always work in progress. They're not going to be resolved overnight. But hopefully we can get, maybe in the spring, we'll get DSNY to come up and talk to us about containerization and how that's going.
Yeah.
Maybe Gail Brewer's office could come back and talk to us about the staying new train. Maybe we could get somebody from DP to come and talk about 2 or 3 different issues.
I think
we can do it this way.
No, so we have
Oh, is there any old business? No.
So basically, we get out.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.